Hello and welcome to a special segment of GameSpot's Play For All. We are talking Madden 21, so I hope all of you are ready for some football. I am joined by Seann Graddy from EA Sports to talk about Madden 21. How you doing, man?
I'm doing good. Good to see you.
Yeah, you as well. And can you give a little background on your role with Madden 21 and then give a brief overview of the biggest new additions coming this year?
Sure. So I'm Seann Graddy. I'm the executive producer for Madden NFL 21. Been with the franchise going all the way back to Madden 13. Big football fan, as you might guess. Some of the cool things that we're doing this year, we try to innovate on both sides of the ball in terms of what you can do from a gameplay perspective. That's the foundation of our game. So we've added some new mechanics with the ball carrier. We call it the skill stick. We've updated the pass rush mechanics on the defensive side of the ball and tried to make tackling a little bit simpler this year as well to address some of the run meta that we had in Madden 20. In modes, probably the biggest story space of the franchise. That's quickly becoming one of our most popular ways to play. We did long shot a couple of years back, and then we went more of a creative player pace of the franchise. So we're deepening that experience in all the way back to high school and college and beyond.
Yes, there's much to think about, especially as it relates to the upcoming NFL season, if we can call it that. But in terms of Madden 21, I got a little hands-on time with the beta, so I got a taste of some of the new features. But in terms of the refinements, can you break down in practice how things like the skill stick, pass rush moves, and like the new tackling mechanics actually work and how they affect the game?
Sure. I'll start with the skill stick. That tends to be the thing that people gravitate towards. They want to score. They want to run the ball. So essentially, we've deepened the control that you can do on the stick and added combo moves to it. So you're still flicking the stick in a direction, up, down, right, left, jukes right and left. We experimented in the beta. We actually had a hurdle on there that you could combo with the jukes. We called it the jurtle. We've since gone back to that being the truck stick. And we'll continue to maybe refine that as the season unfolds. And then on the back stick, we added something we called the dead leg, which is just stop on a dime, let a defender fly past you. It's something Lamar Jackson did a couple times last year. Looked amazing. Looks really good in the game. But just more creative control with the ability to combo moves together was the biggest goal there. On the defensive side of the ball, with the pass rush mechanics, we really wanted to make sure that whatever input you were doing, you got clear feedback. So it's back on the right stick, which we've had in years past, but the way that it feels better, in my opinion now, is you get clear user feedback in terms of the text on the screen. It tells you exactly what move you're trying to do, and you get an animation that is responsive the second you try to pull it off. And there's a little bit of a strategy with the number of moves that you have, how many times you've attempted that move with an offensive lineman, that we believe is going to push a few more players to the defensive line. I know if you see somebody on the defensive line in competitive play, they're a noob. But this mechanic actually may bring some people off of the linebacker play and onto the line. And then on tackling, really it's this idea of a breakdown tackle where you use the A button on Microsoft or X on Sony. And it's if you're in the open field and you've got to make a tackle, you use the A button to kind of ready up. You see defenders do this in the real world where they kind of get in position, they wind their feet, and then they make the tackle. That A button is kind of a conservative way to apply that animation to make that tackle.
I think a lot of refinements are necessary from year to year. Can you speak to how that might affect the run game? Because as someone who, it's funny is that when I play, I have friends who just chuck the ball downfield every down. I like to play methodically. I'm planning out like my play action with my runs and sweeps, and then I go for a deep ball and all that sort of stuff. But I like to incorporate the run game. So with all of these mechanics in mind, can you speak to how this might be changing up players who play like that and use a lot of run plays?
Well, first thing I'll say is that you're a true head coach. You strategize. Football is a chess match at the end of the day. So you've got to set up certain plays to lead to other plays. So well done on your part. You're probably winning against your friends is my guess. I'll say this. So Clint Oldenburg is one of our lead designers and producers in this space, and he's going to go into deep detail about all the kind of nuanced things that we've done to improve tackling of AI, pursuit angles, engagements out of blocks that are all going to impact the run game and the run meta that we saw last year. And then when you couple that with the mechanics that I talked about this year that are obviously more user-based, the intent is to have more of a simulation experience, frankly, more sim football. and more of a balanced experience, so that players like you and others the best example is we don't want to see competitive matches where somebody's just running the entire game to win. I don't know if you were doing that yourself, but in real football, you've got to be a bit more balanced, and I think all the things that we're bringing to 21 will deliver that.
If I recall correctly, you're trying to make not necessarily nerf QBs, but just make them more situationally in tune with how people are playing, such as cross chest passes. So you can't be 100% accurate if you're throwing to the opposite side of the field if you're scrambling one way. Can you go a little bit deeper into how you've refined QB play in Madden 21?
Yeah, I would say that you're right. We're not trying to nerf play per se. Again, we're trying to make it more like the real sport. And anybody that's played Madden for any length of time knows that there are years where people will run backwards 10 or 20 yards, chuck it downfield 60 yards and make a pass, and it's off their back foot. And every year we're always trying to chip away at preventing that from happening. And the X factors and superstar abilities that we've added, I think, allow us to create some magic moments like that, where NFL quarterbacks like Patrick Mahomes does pull that off from time to time. And in our game, he's got that ability to do it, but not every quarterback can do it, and not every quarterback that even has that ability will do it every time. So there is some addition in the X factors and abilities that we'll talk more about that will bring some of that nuanced simulation to our quarterbacks. We also added things like you can throw out a sack now. That was debated in our beta. Can you throw out a sack too easily, as an example? And if you do, is it leading to too many interceptions? And our opinion is, if you're thrown out of a sack, there's a high chance that you're going to throw an interception in the real world. So yes, you can take that risk, but who knows where the ball is going to go? And so you got to make that decision whether or not you want to get out of it. We've also tuned the dive. When you're running with a quarterback, if you get hit in our game, you're going to take a fumble sometimes. We're constantly tuning that to make sure that it's balanced. We just want to make sure that there's no, overpowered, or OP, as the kids say on the streets with Madden QB gameplay.
Sweet, because I was actually going to ask how you approach balancing different types of players, because back in when I played Madden 2004, I was just Falcons, Michael Vick. I'm chucking it downfield, or I'm running 80 yards right off my first drive of the game. Obviously, you can't do that anymore, or you can try and maybe you'll succeed, but not as frequently as you could with Michael Vick back in the day. But we've kind of seen a bit of a resurgence in the mobile QBs with Patrick Mahomes, Lamar Jackson, Russell Wilson to an extent for many years at this point. But yeah, is that how do you approach balancing the different styles of QB play? Because pocket passers play a lot differently than mobile QBs, and is that superstar abilities and different types of stats? Is that how you're nailing down these different types of play styles?
It is. It really boils down to, obviously, ratings, which we've had for years, and X factors, and giving certain quarterbacks, like the ones you mentioned, an ability to get out of the pocket faster than others, or to throw across their chest and still be accurate, like Patrick Mahomes. Every year, we're kind of monitoring the league and seeing how QBs and really any position is playing, and then thinking about, now in the world of X factors and superstars, abilities that allow us to pay off what those unique individuals do themselves, but always trying to make sure that there's a counter to it as well. We don't want it to be that you just put some cool new X factor ability on a quarterback, but there's no way to defend it, and that becomes essentially like an exploit in the game.
Can you speak to any changes or tweaks to Madden Ultimate Team?
So Madden Ultimate Team is really built on content. We've I think become one of the best kind of live services in the industry, in terms of you show up in the mode and there's something new to chase and play at all times. So we are going to really deepen the amount of content that we deliver to our fans from day one. Our team is actually all working from home right now, cranking out a great library of launch content. We had great programs last year, like the NFL 100. And while we won't have that exact program, we're thinking of some ways to marry some of the ideas that our fans loved from that in Madden 21 as well. We'll just a deepening of the great content that our fans expect on a daily and weekly basis.
Now, the game is still a little bit of a ways out, but can you speak to how you're approaching monetization with Madden 21? Because I know there's been a lot of player feedback, a lot of comments on it, but is there any changes or tweaks to monetization this year?
Well, the biggest thing we think about with monetization is making sure that players have the ability to earn everything that they want in the game through play. So our most engaged players, an Ultimate Team right now can build the roster of players that they want over time. But some players don't have as much time and they want to get to the things they want to get to faster and they choose to monetize. So that I think approach has served us and our players well. That full range of spectrum of players that can engage a lot and those that can't engage as much. And so we'll stay the course with that in the year ahead.
Okay. Now, Longshot was one of my favorite editions of Madden 18 and 19. Of course, it was tweaked a little bit with Face of the Franchise, incorporating NCAA, and now you're saying incorporating some high school stuff in there as well. How do you feel about your approach last year, and what have you learned from it that's going to be reflected in this year's approach to Face of the Franchise?
Well, first of all, the entire Longshot team thanks you for the nod for the mode. That was a tough mode to build, so they appreciate some love there.
Yeah.
So we've taken some of the lessons learned in terms of storytelling, the way that we flow you through the game, the amount of cinematics, the decision making, and the branching from Longshot. You saw that in some of last year's game, and we'll continue that in year ahead. College football was a welcome addition. People loved playing with some of those colleges in a national championship game. We've extended it back to high school this year, so you actually start in a high school experience and have some light customization of your team name and mascot. You'll play up to 2 seasons of a college career. We call it little kind of mini seasons, not a full season, and the opportunity to win a couple college national championships if you have the ability and desire. And then one of the bigger things that we're doing in the year ahead is making sure that the production value of the NFL experience is deeper and holds up with what you experienced in last year's case, college football, but now high school and college football. We wanted to feel balanced in terms of the depth and variety, the decision-making, the cinematics, all that type of thing. So you're going to see that in this year's game as well. And frankly, this is a aggregation really of everything that we've built over the last 3 years of cinematic story modes and lessons we all take from the games that we play, even outside of sports.
Sure, yeah. I think that a lot of people likened it to a sort of Telltale makes an NFL story in many ways. Can you briefly speak to the sort of drama that will be portrayed in this year's Face of the Franchise?
Yep. So you come into a high school experience onto a team where there's an established quarterback. There's an opportunity to take over that position. The quarterback has a bit of a secret, if you will, that you can choose to reveal or not. That creates obviously some tension and drama with that character that propagates through high school on into college. And into your NFL career. And along the way, the decisions that you make kind of navigate the position you play. Last year was a QB only. This year you can choose to go to wide receiver or halfback. And then also your relationship with this character and where you both end up at the end of your career. Maybe you're both, great NFL careers. Maybe one is shortened. Who knows? It remains to be seen based on how you play.
All right, cool. Now, last question about modes is franchise mode. I think that a lot of people are curious about any additions or changes to franchise mode. Can you speak to that?
Well, I'll speak to, I just released a video last week that some folks may be familiar with. There was some questions around the feature set for Madden, and our fans were asking for more. And so what I said at the time is that we hear you. We're working on basically some features and new things that we will share as we head into the launch window, both for our live services, which is continuous development in Madden 21 through title updates, and a long-term roadmap for Madden 22 and beyond. So it's still too early to get into specifics of that, but something that the franchise fans can look forward to in the coming weeks.
Just a few more questions before I let you go. How do you feel about Patrick Mahomes, 10 years, $500 million? How does that make you feel, man?
It makes me feel like we picked a great cover athlete last year. Congratulations to Mahomes. He's an amazing player. It's completely deserved. He broke the Madden curse if it wasn't already broken many times over. And
right.
I wish he was playing for my Tampa Bay Buccaneers.
Ah, damn. Yeah. Well, hey, I mean, you got a really old Tom Brady, so good luck with that, that guy. But yeah, speaking about like, can you give any insight on how cover athletes are chosen? Obviously, with Patrick Mahomes last year is a big deal, and Lamar Jackson obviously had an amazing season, at least an amazing regular season. But like, is there any input that you have on choosing a cover athlete?
Yeah, I mean, first and foremost, you want somebody that represents the league that had a big impact in the previous year. Mahomes and Lamar, obviously, last year. I think you guys may have called out they were MVPs, and we don't just start with the MVP, but it maps well to what we're looking for. Somebody that really impacted the league in the previous year. We like somebody that is great in the community, great for the sport, just a great person. If they like Madden, that doesn't hurt. Lamar is a big fan of Madden, grew up playing Madden. That's a good thing as well. And then sometimes they map to what we're trying to do for the game. You know, if you think back to Madden 15 when OBJ was on the cover, one of our gameplay focuses was on catching and receptions and athletic catches, and he had the memorable epic catch against the Cowboys. I think it was on Monday Night Football, and so that translated well to our cover story as well. So all those factors kind of weigh into who we select.
All right, this is my last question. Can you speak to how EA Sports is approaching next-gen hardware? Can you give any details on, cross-gen support or how you're tweaking the game to be specifically played on next-gen hardware at all?
I'll just say we're really excited about the opportunity to bring Madden to the next-gen consoles. We're not sharing our feature set yet. The one thing we have shared, which I think is exciting, is that if you purchase Gen 4, you're going to get an entitlement automatically for free for Gen 5. So no need to wait. But in terms of the feature set, we are going to have a unique experience on Gen 5, and looking forward to sharing more with our fans here in the coming weeks.
All right, Seann, is there anything else you want to add before I let you go?
Just thanks to all the Madden passionate fans out there. We're always listening, appreciate all the feedback, and looking forward to you guys getting your hands on the game in August.
All right,
hopefully we get a season.
Seann. Oh yeah, that too. Well, I mean, we gotta think about that. We gotta make sure it's safe for everybody. But yeah. If not for that, then we have Madden 21 to look forward to if we want to get our football fix. So, Seann Graddy, EA Sports, thank you so much for joining me.
Thanks, Michael.
And for all of you watching out there, thank you for tuning in. We can look forward to football later this year in video game form on all the platforms, including PC and Next Gen. So I want to thank you for watching, and we have plenty more content on GameSpot.com to play for all, so check that out, and we'll see you there.